Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
Children with auditory function deficit are potentially failing to learn to their maximum potential because of noise levels generated in classrooms. The effects of noise on the ability of children to learn effectively in typical classroom environments are now the subject of increasing concern. The International Institute of Noise Control Engineering, INCE, on the advice of the World Health Organization, has established an international working party, which includes New Zealand, to evaluate noise and reverberation control for schoolrooms. Hearing impairment or other auditory function deficit in young children can have a major impact on their development of speech and communication, resulting in a detrimental effect on their ability to learn at school. This is likely to have major consequences for the individual and the population as a whole. The New Zealand Ministry of Health has found from research carried out over 2 decades that 6 to 10% of children in that country are affected by hearing loss.
The attention deficit disorders are indicative of neurological and genetic disorders and are characterized by difficulties with sustaining attention, effort and persistence, organization skills, and disinhibition. Children experiencing these disorders find it difficult to screen out unimportant information and focus on everything in the environment rather than attending to a single activity. Background noise in the classroom becomes a major distraction, which can affect their ability to concentrate. Other possible routes have been offered, though. For Igor Novikov, astrophysicist behind the 1980s theorem known as the self-consistency principle, time travel is possible within certain boundaries. Novikov argued that any event causing a paradox would have 0 probability. It would be possible, however, to affect rather than change historical outcomes if travelers avoided all inconsistencies. Averting the sinking of the Titanic, for example, would revoke any future imperative to stop it from sinking. It would be impossible. Saving selected passengers from the water and replacing them with realistic corpses would not be impossible, however, as the historical record would not be altered in any way. So, will humans one day step across the same boundary that the neutrinos have? World-renowned astrophysicist Stephen Hawking believes that once spaceships can exceed the speed of light, humans could feasibly travel millions of years into the future in order to repopulate Earth in the event of a forthcoming apocalypse. This is because, as the spaceships accelerate into the future, time would slow down around them. Hawking concedes that bygone eras are off limits. This would violate the fundamental rule that cause comes before effect.
There is much that we do not yet know concerning how electroreception functions. Although researchers have documented how electroreception alters hunting, defense, and communication systems through observation, the exact neurological processes that encode and decode this information are unclear. Scientists are also exploring the role electroreception plays in navigation. Some have proposed that salt water and magnetic fields from the Earth's core may interact to form electrical currents that sharks use for migratory purposes. Dropwinson information is fed into a special meteorological computer in Maryland, which generates a global computer model of wind patterns. Data analysts have discovered a greater variability in the winds at sea level than previously believed. But many forecasting problems are beyond a solution, at least for the time being. For instance, it is not yet known why hurricanes can suddenly change in intensity. Current computer models often fail to predict whether a hurricane will reach land or else cannot pinpoint where a strike will take place. Instead of the button-pressing machine, Cole used a locked box and two differently colored matchboxes, one of which contained a key that would open the box. Notice that there are still two behavior segments. Open the right matchbox to get the key and use the key to open the box, so the task seems formally to be the same. But psychologically, it is quite different. Now the subject is dealing not with a strange machine, but with familiar meaningful objects. And it is clear to him what he is meant to do. It then turns out that the difficulty of integration is greatly reduced. Libraries and archives are cultural crossroads of knowledge exchange, where the past transmits information to the present, and where the present has the opportunity to inform the future. Bureaucracies have become the backbone of civilizations. As governments try to keep track of populations, business transactions, and taxes. At a personal level, our lives are governed by the documents we possess. We are certified on paper literally from birth to death. And written documentation carries enormous cultural importance. Consider the consequences of signing the foundation document of the United Nations or the Convention on Biological Diversity.
Collections of documents that record information and ideas have frequently been viewed as potentially dangerous. For thousands of years, governments, despots and conquerors have resorted to burning libraries and books to rid themselves of inconvenient evidence or obliterate cultures and ideas that they found politically, morally, or religiously unacceptable. One such calamity, the burning of the Great Library of Alexandria, and the papyrus scrolls and books it contained, has been mythologized and has come to symbolize the global loss of cultural knowledge.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.